Let's bring in Oleh Shamshur, who's Ukraine's former ambassador to France. Mr. Shamshur, thank you very much for joining us here in France 24. We appreciate your time. I'm wondering what your thoughts are ahead of this meeting between Trump and Putin. Clearly, Vladimir Zelensky needs to take part.
First of all, thank you for invitation. Definitely looks like the principle nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine has been accepted by all our partners and allies. Now it's again in question, and unfortunately President Zelensky definitely is not a part of the process of preparation for these talks, and it definitely is not part of the talks. But I think that even more important that Donald Trump comes into this negotiation with Putin if he really wants to speak about peace in Ukraine acceptable for Ukraine, not contradicting its national interest. He should coordinate the position with the European allies and with Ukraine and apply pressure on Putin. If it is not happening, there is really a very big danger of some kind of the plan, and unfortunately the peace plan presented for some time, elements of it by Trump himself, but mostly by members of his foreign policy team, doesn't differ too much from the demands of Putin, and it creates even more danger for Ukraine and more disturbing climate leading up to this meeting.
Vladimir Putin so far has made basically no concessions, as you pointed out. And as we're going into this important meeting, it looks very much like things may be decided in Russia's favor, unless the pressure from European leaders comes to bear on Trump and Vladimir Zelensky is allowed to attend in some way, shape or form to state Ukraine's case and to be a voice in the conversation. Zelensky today saying that no land will be given up. There's no question of that happening. Is that realistic, do you think? Is that a realistic position? Will Ukraine have to accept that some land will be conceded, given away as part of any agreement?
First of all, I would like to say that you mentioned that Zelensky should be invited at some stage. No, actually it will serve absolute no purpose if they devise some kind of a plan and then present as a fait accompli it to Zelensky and European partners. Zelensky and the Europeans should be a part of the decision-making process, as I said before. No matter what is being said, it should be understood that any concession to Putin and allowing him to conserve his territorial land grabs since 2014, but especially, I would say, during this war, would mean that we would be speaking only a possible termination of the stage of the war, and that will be the prelude to becoming the war and all European institution. So it means that in the reality of the war in 5 years, of which spoke, for example, General Burkhardt of France, well, it looks very realistic, and the Europeans and not only Europeans should understand that the security of Europe is being decided now in Ukraine. That's why now we need I would say the sursaut of which Macron spoke some time ago in order to exert pressure on Putin and to create a necessary and I would say favorable negotiating positions for Ukraine and its European partners.
Are you surprised that Donald Trump, having observed that Vladimir Putin doesn't do what he says he will do, he'll say one thing to Trump, then he'll go and bomb Ukraine. He'll say he wants peace, and then he'll go and bomb Ukraine. Are you Are you surprised that Donald Trump is still being very conciliatory towards Putin, that the United States is still basically almost giving him everything he wants?
I'm not surprised at all, and I was voicing this concern from the very beginning. To understand the position and the behavior of Trump, it should be there are some things that should be taken into account. Firstly, he would like to finish this war, so he would be able to concentrate on other, as he thinks, more important issues. And he is ready to do it no matter what, including violating the interests of Ukraine, which he thinks are really not that important or totally non-important for the United States. Secondly, he would like to see the termination of the war in Ukraine as a part of a broader picture. And he said about it himself, a picture of reformatting, improving the relations with Russia, realizing with Russia some super economic projects, and also using Russia to revamp the rules of the international politics in general, and also to drag Russia off the sphere of the Chinese influence. All those goals, I think, are total illusions, but those are illusions dear to Trump's heart. There are those things which, to my mind, should be taken into account in order to understand the behavior of Donald Trump. And he is clinging to the opportunity to speak to Putin as a partner, not as a as adversary, not speaking about the foe. That's why all his threats to exert, to apply some, well, I would say, super sanctions against Russia and secondary sanctions, they have remained the phrases, the bubbles, while he was, he jumped on the opportunity presented by Putin as soon as he aired this idea for the bilateral meeting, and maybe discussing some issues which in Trump's mind would lead to termination of the war in Ukraine. Those are illusions, but again, these are illusions and they correspond to the intentions and beliefs of Donald Trump, unfortunately.
Oleh Shamshur, former ambassador to France for Ukraine. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Thank you for sharing us your interpretation of how things might go. Pleasure speaking to you, sir, and let's hope there is an outcome that is more favourable than the one that you're outlining there for your country. That's Oleh Shamshur, Ukraine's former ambassador to France. We, of course, watching all developments, both diplomatically and on the ground in Ukraine.